I guess our story starts with my dad. He was a very wonderful and unique individual. He just was a person I could count on. Whenever I wanted to play ball, he would be there. He was always seemed to be in very good health. He was very lean and seemed to be pretty fit other than the cigarette smoke. In 1972, he started to have some health problems. Chest pains now and then, and fluid in his lungs, and it just got worse. He had a constant cough, and he had a bunch of tests done at the Mayo Clinic, and he came back on the 4th of July, which was his 37th birthday. So that evening, I remember running around lighting firecrackers, and I turned around, and everybody was standing up. And I ran, never heard the firecracker go off. I ran to see what was going on, and he was on the ground, struggling to breathe. They buried him on my 10th birthday. We had our cholesterol checked very soon after that, probably the next summer, and my blood chemistry is also not great. It's probably just like my dad's. When medications became available and the early statin drugs, I was on those, and so here I am at almost 55, and we still, I think, do a good job of getting exercise and eating right. And we're blessed with two boys that love to be active, love to be outside.
The boys had their normal physical, and Louise mentioned, maybe they should get their blood tested and just see if they have high cholesterol. And I kind of thought, I can't imagine that they would. They're young, they're little, they're active. Took them in for their first ever blood draw and got the results, and both of them were well over 250 for their cholesterol. So, and at the ages of 7 and 11, it was just really shocking.
The thing about a condition like familial hypercholesterolemia is it really is the classic case study of an ounce of prevention being worth a pound of cure. Because if this is caught early, children can be started on medication to lower their cholesterol, and it can essentially reduce or eliminate their risk of a heart problem as they get older.
Thinking about Carl's dad and thinking about Carl with being on his medication, I have no idea how many years it would have gone by where we wouldn't have known if they would have had this high cholesterol. We still maintain our overall lifestyle. Like I always preach, everything in moderation and watch what you eat, and they know they have to be careful. And we had a big conversation with both of them when they were first diagnosed. Like, this is what this means. This is what your grandpa had. This is what your dad has. I am eternally grateful that Grandma brought it up and that they were tested and that they are on medication.
The American Heart Association is the biggest funder of research in heart disease outside of the federal government. And they've done a tremendous job of supporting initiatives and helping adults with heart disease, identifying risk factors for heart disease, treating adults with heart disease after the heart disease starts. And what we really need is continued efforts to identify this risk in children so that we can prevent this from happening as people get older.
It's really important to teach good habits early for a healthy lifestyle. Again, if you're a child and you're taught those things early, it can carry through your whole life.
It's so important to get your own cholesterol checked, get your kids' cholesterol checked, get your grandkids' cholesterol checked, because you don't know if you don't look.
Up until I outlived my father, I always had this idea that I might not. And in one sense, that's the greatest gift my dad ever gave me. Was I usually almost never take a day for granted. I almost never forget to be thankful.